Well, hi there guys and welcome to another video. So guys, I've been buying things off AliExpress again. Let me give you a bit of background. Here at this facility I currently have an 80 megabit internet connection. It's VDSL based, it's provided by BT, I've had it for over 15 years, it's a business service, static IPs, it's all very good, I enjoy it. However, recently-ish, fibre to the premises came to this building, but they had some sort of exclusivity agreement where you could only buy from Vodafone. Now that exclusivity agreement appears to have recently lapsed, and so I have free choice of any ISP on the City Fibre network. I was browsing through them and I found one that offers 2 gigabit or thereabouts internet connectivity, so obviously I'm going to need to order that soon. However, my internet connection goes into a PC Engines box running Debian, which I enjoy, but the PC Engines box only has gig interfaces, and actually all my switching internally only has gig interfaces. So, time for me to figure out what the journey to 2.5 gig looks like. Switching, no problem, plenty of choices there. Router though, I still wanted something small and low power and Linux based that I can set up as I feel fit. As you know, I like things like Raspberry Pis and PC Engines boxes, and I was like, well, what will have a 2.5 gig interface? Hence my purchase. Let me just remind myself of the particulars of what I expect to find in this box. I have ordered an Orange Pi 5 Plus from the Shenzhen Shunlong company. This particular item is a bundle. I probably don't want much of what's in the bundle, but it's the Orange Pi 5 Plus with 32 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of eMMC, though I don't really like eMMC. I'll probably use the optional NVMe interface on here because I have found it night and day, the difference between MMC stroke SD and NVMe. Not that I'll be on there doing much. The occasional edit of some firewall rules probably doesn't need that sort of performance, but I want it and I should have it. Yes, it's got stuff, and it comes with a case and a power supply and things. Anyway, without further ado, let's just open the box up. Now, it says on here, customs fee to pay. Paid. I did pay a customs fee. The source was Shunlong, Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, New Territories. Now, I believe the threshold is probably written here somewhere. £135. Anything over that does attract an import duty with VAT value. The VAT paid was £38.69. I can't remember exactly what this cost when I bought it. I think it's dollar denominated and recalculated. But yes, I think it was in the region of like £170 or something like that. So not a cheap piece, but fairly cheap when you consider that it's got 2.5 gig Ethernet interfaces, which was my primary reason for getting it. Now, I don't know much about the Orange Pi. I know it's based on a Rockchip ARM boy, but I don't know a great deal. I just impulsively made a purchase because that's really how AliExpress is for me these days. I see something, I buy it. But hey, on the plus side, at least it's not some X99 stuff, which is usually what I find myself buying with not really much of a reason to have it. But then, probably also fair to say that my recent Raspberry Pi purchase was made with no kind of reason to have it or idea what I would do with it. Right, Hong Kong's finest, Shenzhen's finest, someone's finest, is in this box. So this looks to be some wireless antennae to go with the case that it ships with. I won't be using those. I might plug them in anyway. Also a screwdriver, some sticky back feet things, anti-slide I assume. A box with Orange Pi written on it. This box is something. Is it clear what it is? It's not 100% clear what it is. This little box appears to contain something very lightweight. That's a wireless module by the looks of it. Okay, I guess that goes on the board. Another little Orange Pi box. Let's see what's in here. This appears to be a eMMC 256 gig module there. probably won't need to use that. I mean, I might stick it on there and just test with it, though often flashing eMMCs on boards involves all sorts of real annoying stuff. Right, a power adapter. Let's just have a quick look at this power adapter and see how it is rated. It is USB-C, so I can easily replace this or adapt it in some way, but it's certainly not a British plug. What have we got here? Input 100 to 240 volts, output 5 volts, 4 amps. Okay, so 20 watts of supply needed apparently. That's actually quite a decent power supply then, I imagine. I'll probably just adapt this and keep it and use it as is. Right, now we have some slightly different packaging here. Let's open up this one. This, I assume, is the case, as it's slightly larger than the other one. That would make logical sense. Here we go. Oh, it's in a funny bag, and then a funny plastic container inside the funny bag, because packaging is good. Wow, this is a lot of packaging. This, I imagine, has arrived very unscathed. Could probably reuse this plastic. We don't like single-use plastic now, do we? Right, this is indeed the case. Oh, that's very nice. Ooh, that's a very nice bit of, I guess, aluminium, as we say in Britain. So there's some screw holes there. Is that going to come out? Is that loose? Yes, it is. Okay, so a base plate. Yeah, it's got lots of holes. Presumably that will align perfectly with the board. I think I will use this case. It's fairly decent. Like I say, I only bought the bundle for convenience sake. I'm really just interested in the board itself. Right. Lastly, and most importantly, what I hope is an Orange Pi 5. It also has an Orange Pi box. It's in a sleeve. Wow, premium. Oh, another bit of plastic containing this one. Slightly different closing mechanism though. Ooh, very nice. So it's very small, as one might expect. Is this a sealed bag? Yes, this is a sealed bag. I'll take to it with my scissors. Okay, let's whip it out. Let's be fairly careful not to thumb and finger it too much. Right, so here we have it, and what do we see? We see, yes, so there's an NVMe slot on the bottom. There's a SD slot there. Then we have a Rockchip RK3588 on the top there. Decent performance chip, that, very nice. Should run rings around my Raspberry Pi 5. We have 3 HDMI ports, 2 Ethernet ports, which I believe to be 2.5 gigabit ports. Nice. Couple of USB 3s. Yeah, it seems to have everything a growing boy needs. So that's nice. Right, well, that's the unboxing bit done. I will now take this away, and I'm going to put something on the SD card actually, and see how I get on, and try and boot it up and just have a poke around. I'm also going to go and order myself an NVMe to sit on this. I don't think it will need to be particularly big, since all it really has to contain is a Debian install and some NF tables rules. Right, I'll be back forthwith. An amount of time has passed. Actually, quite a lot of time has passed. I got distracted with other things. Anyway, I have placed an Amazon order for a Samsung 980, which will arrive tomorrow. For now, I have got myself an SD card, which I have stuck a Ubuntu desktop image on, as that's always a good starting point to play around with, to build specifically for this device. So I will plug that in here, I guess. Is it that way up? Nope, it's the other way up. Oh, it's got that satisfying click that so few things have nowadays. Oh, I like that. Oh, I do enjoy that. That's great. Okay, so that's plugged in. I guess it will boot off that. I do have the embedded MMC module here. It's kind of ridiculous that it's an embedded MMC, but it comes on a module that then plugs in. I don't actually know where that plugs in. I'll plug that in later. I probably don't need it, but I'm not going to use it for anything else, so I might. I also found, and I looked at the wireless module that comes with this. It's a Realtek. We all despise Realtek wireless. Well, some of us do. But I happen to have this Intel wireless, which I think will go on there and hopefully will work absolutely fine. So again, I might attach that later, just in my own time. Right, anyway, screen is out, the SD card is there, keyboard and mouse are available, so let's just plug it in. I have adapted the power adapter, so let's just plug this stuff in and see how we get on. So I will plug in the mouse and the keyboard, and I think, let me just check these HDMIs, they are labelled. Yes, this is HDMI 2 out, HDMI 1 out, and then this one is an HDMI input. So, yeah, the ability to do capture on this, which is quite a thing. So I'll plug that into the HDMI output. And then I think, so there's two USB ports, one on the front and one on the back. I think this is the power one, and that's just for peripherals. So I'm going to assume that's true and plug it in and see what happens. Right. Orange Pi 5 Plus powering up, hopefully. A red light. Oh, maybe I have to press the power button. I don't know. There's two buttons on here. Oh, wait a minute, it's flashing. Oh, no, it's come on. Okay, ignore that. Okay, that was fast. Ubuntu. And a flashing light on the front. This already feels faster than a Pi of the Raspberry nature, but let's see, is a Pi of the orange nature. I mean, this chip on here, this Rockchip RK, what was it, 30 something, 30, yeah, one of those. Gosh, I am blind as a bat. The Rockchip 3588. Sorry, I haven't got my classic headpiece with me today, so I'm just using this one. 3588 non-S. It's 8 cores and it's fast. Right, well okay. Let's just acknowledge for a moment that was actually surprisingly painless. I plugged it in, I turned it on, and it worked. This is not what we're used to. So let's acknowledge that for the moment. Yeah, this is quite fast. This is decent. I am used to ARM-based stuff being pretty sluggish, but this is actually pretty good. Let's give it a password. Rockboy123. Why not? Right, continue. Installing, configuring stuff. So yeah, that's great. I mean, obviously once it's booted, we'll see how fast it is. But so far, I'm pretty happy with that. Now I haven't. Let me see. Is that okay? I'm just touching the heat spreader, putting my lovely finger oils on it. Okay, there's very little thermal noticeableness. Now I did notice on the inside of this lovely metal case is this big block. Now I assume when this goes down over the heat spreader of the Rockchip, because it does have a little square there and then spreads out into those angles. So I assume that is supposed to take the heat away from the heat spreader and send it into the top of the case. So when I come to put this together, I probably won't put it together until after I've got the NVMe, given that goes on the bottom, and of course that's going to be then with the base plate. Yeah, I might even use a little bit of thermal compound between these two just to make sure it's a good fit. But I mean, it's going to be a router. I mean, granted, if all goes well, it'll be routing a couple of gigabits per second, but that shouldn't be enough to even break this thing into a sweat. Okay, I can definitely feel a little warmth on there, but it's far from any kind of what I would imagine to be a thermal throttling threshold anywhere nearby. Now, I don't really imagine that this Ubuntu work is particularly challenging for it, and it's probably bottlenecked by that SD card, if I'm completely honest with you. But yeah, I mean, it's having a good thrash. That looks like it's rebuilt the boot stuff there. So yeah, it's doing things. Lots of stuff going on. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's rebooting, I think, now, post-install. No, oh no, it's just finished the right. So, what was it? Rock Boy, was it? Rock Boy 123. My memory is such that I can forget things that quickly. Well, first login. Okay, that's fast. That is proper fast. That is not to be sniffed at. I would say probably in terms of just ordinary, accessible to consumer type ARM stuff, this is one of the fastest things I have enjoyed. So that's good. Right, let's open up our terminal. Always the first port of call. Sudo -I rockboy123, and let's do, well, firstly LSPCI. Let's do that. Ethernet controller, 2 of them, RTL8125 2.5 gig Ethernet. Nice, that is what we're after. Let's also cat proc CPU info. Okay, yes, lots of processors there, so that is indeed confirmed. 8 cores, that's nice, I'm happy with that. Let's have a look at mem info. 32 gigs, very nice. Yeah, so Orange Pi 5 plus 32 gig edition. Very happy with that indeed, and also very surprised at how snappy it is and how it just worked first thing. So I'll leave it there for now. I'll wait till tomorrow when my Amazon delivery arrives. I will get the Samsung NVMe and I will image the Ubuntu install onto that, and I'll redo this again and carry on from that point onwards. Amazon package is here. It hasn't arrived in a particularly timely manner, so a little bit late starting on day 2 of this piece of work. Nonetheless, let's get to it. Brilliant quality packaging as always. Let's rip this boy open. Right, in here we have as expected, a Samsung SSD 980 in the size 500 gig, exactly as ordered. Right, let's open this up through the use of handy scissors. How handy. Oh dear. Oh, tricky packaging. Won't be able to return this now if it's damaged, as I've scraped and scratched and wrecked the packaging. There we go. Right. There we have it. Standard Samsung SSD NVMe packaging. I think I've bought a few of these now. Oh, there we go. That's good anti-static precautions in play. Right, there we have it. One NVMe of the type needed. Right, so this goes on the back of here. Quite simple standard NVMe installation. Now the Orange Pi doesn't come with these little screws from what I can see, and the I don't think the Samsung retail packaging does include screws. I could be wrong. No, it does not. So luckily I have a pack of screws here, so I'll just sift through that and get it mounted and then get everything plugged back in. I'm just going to boot it back up off the SD card again and make sure that the NVMe is present before I go any further with this. Samsung 980 SSD NVMe attached to the board. Finicky little screw work, not my favourite. Right, okay, let's get everything plugged back in and get to the task at hand. HDMI and keyboard and mouse, and power. Here we go now. So this will be the second or third boot post initial setup of Ubuntu. So we'll see if it is quicker this time. I mean, it was already pretty darned fast. Ubuntu splash screen. Not sure how much you'll be able to see actually on camera. Probably not any useful detail, but that's fine. I will be telling you about it all the way. So I'm hoping that what I can do once I get this working is to maybe just, because I have on this USB stick the image that I stuck onto that SD card, so I might just from within Ubuntu here just plug this in and then just image the NVMe straight from this, and then just take the SD card out and see if it all works. Anyway, first things first, do we indeed have a NVMe? Luspikai. Oh, we have a few things here. We have Ethernet controller, wireless controller, Samsung Electronics Co. Limited NVMe SSD controller 980. Excellent. LS block. And what do we have? NVMe 0N1. 465.8 gigabytes. That's good. That's excellent. That's exactly what the doctor ordered. Right, okay. I'm just going to plug this in. This is a UASP high-end-ish USB flash drive. 128 gig volume apparently found. So let's just take a look there. Yes, it is Voyager GTX. So let's just mount dev SDA1 to mount. Oh, already mounted, of course. Desktop operating system, it's already done stuff. Media, Andrew, 2F, Smurgle Burgle. Right, there we go. There's the Ubuntu image. Right, I will now just DD that image. Oh, it's exit. I will unexit that and DD that onto the NVMe, and then I'll be right back for us to try booting off the NVMe and comparing. Right, I am back. I did briefly go and get the old Jiju fan while I was unexitting it. I actually did touch the top of the chip, and it was getting quite warm, so I got the whole fan out and just did a bit of the old fan action. I don't think it would have been a problem. It was seemed to only be using one thread anyway. Right, well, that unexited, I then DD'd it onto the NVMe. I think it's probably all cached in memory because the DD got 1.5 gigabytes per second, which seems quite fast. So that's a good sign from the NVMe's point of view, but probably all sorts of caching and stuff. Right. Okay. Well, let's power it off. Power off. And that is now powered off. Let us now remove the SD card and see if through the miracles of modern science it will now boot straight off the NVMe. Here we go now. Power button pressed. Power apparently on. Is anything going to happen? Wow, there we go. There we go. First boot of a new Ubuntu, this time off the NVMe. Now I didn't really time anything last time when I was doing it off the SD card, so I don't scientifically know, but anecdotally I would say this seems to be fast. Let us just do the needful and go through the same steps as before. English UK, English. Right. Oh, of course, this time I've actually got the wireless module under the Intel wireless. And despite the fact I haven't attached the antennas, it is still seeing my wireless network, but I don't think I'm going to connect to that because you shouldn't really use these things without antennas. Right, continue. your name. Let's just set it up exactly as before. I can't even remember what I called it. I'm going to call it Boris this time. Password rockboy123. Right. Well, there we go. Let's see. I don't know this is any quicker. So I've actually got it plugged into the power meter this time so that I can see what it's doing in terms of power. I did notice before I restarted it, it was idling at around 5-ish watts. I'm seeing here spikes up to as much as 10 watts, but seems to be hovering around the 7 watt-ish amount. 7.8, 7.9, 8.1, 7.7. So yeah, that's looking pretty healthy. Right, I am now that I know this is working and is going to be fine, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mount it in the lovely metal chassis as provided. I did notice that there was a pad here that looks about the right size for that and the right size for that. So this might be some sort of thermal transfer pad, but I think I'll go with a traditional paste instead, just because I can. And also those pads tend to be fairly single-use-ish. Maybe not if you take them off not long after you've applied them, but after they've been on for a while they tend to perish when you try and take them off, whereas a paste is easily removed and cleaned and reused. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and then come back to you once it's all in box and tickety-boo. Well, that took way too long, but we do now have the orange Pi 5 in its case. It's a shame I wasn't recording throughout. You would have heard a lot of colourful language. I'm pleased to say that these antennae are now purely decorative. I got angry and knifed them. Basically, attaching these finicky, shitty little wireless connectors is a young man's game. My eyesight is shot to shit. I have no feeling in my fingers, and despite all of my efforts with pliers and fannying around, they wouldn't go on, and then in the end one of the pins got bent, so hack the bastards off. Never going to need them anyway, because this is just here for its 2.5 gig Ethernet interfaces. Don't care about the wireless. So yeah, so that's where we are. This is now, as near as makes the difference, ready to go. I used a little bit of Akasa thermal paste, just some I had lying around. I can definitely feel a little bit of warmth on the top of the case, so I think that's probably conducting heat adequately. I don't know, maybe I should stress test it, give it a full 8 cores of thrash biscuit and see what goes on. Anyway, I guess I can now go and order a switch. And maybe a NIC for one of my machines, just so that I can like back to back this at 2.5 gig across a 2.5 gig switch with the machine and just put it through its paces. But assuming that all works out alright, I will order my new internet connection and I guess probably make a follow-up video when I have my 2 gig-ish internet and see how well this performs. In the meantime, I'll probably reinstall this with just Debian. I don't need Ubuntu and a GUI and all the other nonsense. But yeah, there you go. I'm going to keep tapping it because it's a good bay. It's my bay. Well, guys, I hope you found the video interesting and informative. And as always, do please feel free to comment below. Tell me about your experiences with beyond gigabit networking. Now, I used to work for a service provider where I was using a 10, 40 and 100 gig Ethernet, but that's probably a little outside of the realms of home use. I'm actually going to be deploying soon some NVIDIA kit on 400 gig Ethernet, so that'll be a new experience for me. Anyway, you tell me about your experiences beyond gigabit, or just whatever you want to comment on, because that's what you lot do. That's about all I've got time for. I do look forward to seeing you in the next video, but until then, guys, there is very little more for me to say, except, well, goodbye.